Some of them was asking for trades. Now they sick as hell. Maurice Harkless to the Knicks. I know he tight. Andre Drummond to Cleveland. He didn't even know he got traded. Clint Capella to Atlanta. He may be on suicide watch. Some of them gassed. Marcus Morris, I heard that exhale from here. He said, thank God I'm on the Clippers now. Woo. Man, D'Angelo to Minnesota. He just don't know that Karl Anthony's leaving, so he's going to be by himself again. Man, Andre was probably the happiest out of all of them. I swear to God, the second he got traded, he was on the phone with Jimmy. He said, we going to get so many bitches in Miami. Ain't nothing like the Memphis chicks. They don't even got teeth over there. Man, trade deadline was one for him. How about that? This, ladies and gentlemen, is my first video that I would typically do since the Super Bowl review. That was a fun one, a fun intro to do, most importantly. But this is going to be a NBA trade deadline review. Now, I'm not going to go over every single trade, but I'm going to go over all the trades that I felt were important. Every trade is important to an extent, but I have 3, 4, 5 different trades here. The Andre Iguodala trade, the trade involving the Knicks, the Pistons, Andre Drummond being salty as shit, and the D'Angelo Russell trade. I'm going to go over my thoughts and opinions and basically what it means going forward. Now, the NBA trade deadline was hyped up more than it produced, and that's usually how it goes. Most trade deadlines are terrible, but for the most part, the NBA generally is the most exciting one because there are so many teams that are looking for that key player, so many teams that need a key player, and so many teams that are looking to get rid of somebody that doesn't want to be there. Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala. We're going to talk about the trade deadline. So let's get right to it. This is my first, like I said, I made the skits throughout the week, but this is my first kind of thing, and I figured we'd talk about the trade deadline. The Bring It to the Table episode 2 is going to be the one that I am going to probably do Saturday, and that's going to be the downfall of the Golden State Warriors. If I do get to that, I am not sure. I'm going to have some people here, so we're going to have to kind of get that all situated. The first trade I want to go over is the Golden State Warriors shipping D'Angelo Russell to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, at first glance, on the Golden State side of things, this is them getting rid of him because I felt that D'Angelo Russell was not going to be on this team that long. We knew that the star point guard was Steph Curry, and we knew that Klay Thompson was also right next to him. So D'Angelo Russell played a half a season with the Golden State Warriors. I felt like they were just using him temporarily, and we all knew that I didn't think D'Angelo Russell was going to be long-term on the Golden State Warriors. Who's on the Minnesota Timberwolves? Karl Anthony Towns. This Minnesota Timberwolves team should not be playing as bad as they are, yet they still suck. I think that the first chance Karl Anthony Towns gets, unless this team drastically improves with D'Angelo Russell, he will leave. I've said that Karl Anthony Towns would be a good fit for the Knicks. We do have Mitchell Robinson. He could play power forward. You know, we just sent Morris. I'll get to that trade in a minute. So what does the Golden State Warriors get out of it? They get Andrew Wiggins. Now, that could be very good because Andrew Wiggins has been underwhelming on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not completely, but the system and just the team does not fit Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins on the Golden State Warriors could be a revival of his career. We know that he's going to get more playing time. KD's not there. He'll be probably playing the small forward slot. So if you figure that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and anybody else that's there, the Warriors could definitely benefit from that. They being the Golden State Warriors, if I'm correct, get a 2021 first-round pick and a second-round pick as well. I actually have to do my research. These are notes that I took, by the way, and I completely botched that because I'm not sure who got what on that. I'm going to assume that the Golden State The Golden State Warriors got those draft picks. Okay, I'm sorry for that. The Warriors got the 2 draft picks plus Andrew Wiggins. So I think that when it's all said and done, it's hard to tell, but I feel like the Warriors kind of won that trade. And I know that sounds crazy because D'Angelo Russell is a better player than Andrew Wiggins. But those draft picks could help the Warriors because they will now try to rebuild this historic dynasty that has kind of fallen to shit. Also, Evans and what's his name, Spellman, also went to Minnesota. They were added into that trade as well. The next trade to go over is the trade that I am uncertain about. And that is the New York Knicks, LA Clippers, and the Washington Wizards getting in on a 3-team trade. So what happened here was the Clippers got more weapons, the Knicks got something, and the Wizards were pretty much left with nothing of excitement. They got some guy named Robinson, Jerome Robinson. Clippers, Knicks, Wizards. So the Knicks were active shoppers in this trade deadline, and we knew that that was going to be a case. Randall did not get traded. Happy about that. But they traded Morris. Morris is one of 2 players who has consistently played well for the Knicks. But in order to receive, you have to give. Morris was sent to the LA Clippers, and that will be a beautiful spot for him. He is not going to start, at least not at small forward, and we all know that. I think that he's going to be a key piece to the Clippers. Isaiah Thomas, also coming from the Wizards. Isaiah Thomas has bounced around more than a child in a funhouse with teams the last couple of years. He will go to the Clippers as well. He could be a nice addition to the Clippers as well. So the Clippers are what's the word for it? Are expanding their depth on their team outside of just superstars that start. So the Clippers, to me, are a more well-rounded team than the Lakers. A lot of people may not like that, but that's just what I think. The Knicks, what do they get? They get a 2020 first-round pick, which is good, because the Knicks could never get enough draft picks because every single draft pick we've had has not been a failure, but has not worked out. Kevin Knox, surprised he didn't get shipped away. The guy, Brazdeikis, has barely gotten any playing time. Nobody knows where the hell he is. They just put him in garbage time. So, but they get Maurice Harkless, and if he plays hard and he does well, that could be good for the Knicks. It's not a game changer, but the Knicks will get Maurice Harkless and a 2020 first-round pick. Not exactly what I had in mind. I'll take the draft pick for sure. And Maurice Harkless, we will see what he can bring to the team. I liked what I've seen from Wayne Ellington lately, and I think that Kenny Wooten, whenever the time is right, needs to be put in a Knicks uniform and on the court as well. So the Clippers, Knicks, and Wizards do that trade. The Clippers win this trade. I don't think there's any question about that. But we will find out what happens going forward. The Detroit Pistons and Cleveland Cavaliers. Andre Drummond said he had no idea that he was being traded. And he says there's no loyalty in the NBA, and he thanks the Detroit fan base. Maybe he's saying this because he's going to a team that he does not want to play for and no one would want to play for. Or he's just saying it because he was given no heads up. That is very similar to a lot of situations where we see players in sports do not get a heads up and they find out through the media. I think Isaiah Thomas found out about the Celtics trade through the media, and they said, Isaiah Thomas is going here, and they said, well, that's how I found out. So, what happened exactly? The Cavs get Andre Drummond, which will boost their team. Detroit gets John Henson, Brandon Knight, and they get a second-round 2023 draft pick. When you look at it at a first glance, a draft pick that far away is not exciting. Nobody cares. But it's a draft pick, and it's a chance at a player that could be very good. John Henson and Brandon Knight could help, but the Cavs get Andre Drummond. Who wins this trade? I don't think anybody cares. To be honest, the Cavs are now going to give more big men. They have Tristan Thompson already, and for some reason I feel like Tristan Thompson and Andre Drummond are not going to get along that well. The Cleveland Cavaliers are terrible. They have potential. They have players that have some talent, and we will see where this goes going forward, but Andre Drummond is not happy, and I would not be either. This is the big one, and there's actually one trade that I forgot about, and I don't know all the names in it, so apologize in advance, but Clint Capella is the name that you're going to want to talk about, and he is going to the Atlanta Hawks. And I know if there's anybody that is angry, it is him. Clint Capella does not want to go to the Hawks. He wants to stay on the Rockets. The Rockets think otherwise. I believe, if I'm correct, Houston got a bunch of draft picks from it. It was a 4-team trade. Again, I'm so sorry I didn't take notes on that, but you could look that one up as well. Clint Capella going to Atlanta. That's going to bolster their team because Trae Young needs to be surrounded by all-star talent, and Atlanta is desperately lacking besides Trae Young. But the final trade, and the biggest trade, at least on paper and full of names, that is Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala has not played a single game this season for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he specifically mentioned that he was not going to do that. That is poor sportsmanship, and that is throwing a pout. So I hope that when Memphis plays Miami, they annihilate them, which will not happen. Because now the Heat, which were already great this whole season, are just going to get a little bit stronger. The Heat trade Dion Waiters, Justice Winslow, and James Johnson to the Memphis Grizzlies for Andre Iguodala, Solomon Hill, and Jay Crowder. And this Miami Heat team is getting good, and they're getting good fast. Minnesota jumps into this, and they takes James Johnson, and they give Gray, I don't know his name, but Dang, a center, to the Miami Heat, and Minnesota gets James Johnson. So Minnesota was an active shopper, and Minnesota was probably the biggest team, to be honest, that was involved in the trade deadline. They were trying to actively be involved in it. Andre Iguodala also agreed to a 2-year, $30 million contract extension with the Miami Heat, and I think that that is one of the best places that Andre Iguodala could go, because this Miami Heat team, the way the Bucks look, they're just unstoppable. But this Miami Heat team is second in line. And I don't want to hear nothing about the Philadelphia 76ers, because more times than not, they're inconsistent. And I think that the Heat would beat the Sixers in a 7-game series. Would they beat the Bucks? I don't know about that, but I would love to see that in the playoffs. This was just a quick review of the trade deadline. There are other trades as well, but they're, in the eyes of NBA fans, not as important. But I appreciate everybody watching, and I will see you most likely tomorrow.